Hey, boss, who do you want me to take out now? Cash, I want you to take out Miller. Hey, boss, how do you want me to do it? Cash, take him out with a trailer.
We're no gangsters.
Scotty, we have to interview the Don.
The Don, Steve Conry.
Gentlemen.
Steve Conry, finally. The Don.
We've got a big crowd as well.
Big crowd tonight. Big crowd. One of the biggest crowds we've had.
So we'll keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Steve, welcome. Let's go parents, Daddy and Boone.
Yes.
Steve Conry born 1960.
Correct.
All right, let's go straight to Hawaii, shall we?
Oh, yeah, that was a good spot.
Hawaii, I think it was 2014.
Yes.
You went away with the Lennies, the Goldings.
Yes. Poor Lenny got lost a couple of times.
I heard you had to pretty much babysit the man the whole time you're away.
Yeah, if it wasn't us or Taylor had to carry his backpack, he lost the camera and look what he didn't do.
Yeah.
Was that Oahu?
Ah, yes. We were in, it was at the Hilton, Hawaii. Yeah, it's a very nice.
Is that the one with the rainbow on the side of it?
Yeah, and the little bay on the side, was it marina or what do they call that little? Little pond there. Yeah, we had a splash around there a couple of times.
Yeah, nice.
And a bit of sights.
Yeah, you're right on Waikiki there as well, aren't you?
Yes. Interesting. So we sat there, Lenny and myself, had a couple of refreshments. Josh, being a bit younger with us, sat there and people walking past. They were lovely to see.
It's still pretty steep, the beach, isn't it? You know, like you think, you look at our beaches, you can walk out for 3 miles.
Yeah.
I think the day we arrived, these people were leaving. They threw us their airbeds because you can buy them for $10. And we had a couple of those in the room, so we brought them down. This day, me and Lenny are sitting there watching, and Josh has swum out. Geez, how far's he going out? Because the tide just takes you out.
Yeah.
But no, that was an interesting spot to stay in. Yes.
Did you get to drive around the North Shore or get a bus up the North Shore?
We went to some place that they had shopping.
Oh.
Mandy and Taylor and Lenny and I, the girls wanted the shop, so we just toddled along and we went a couple of spots around there. But maybe that was towards the end of the trip, so we just sort of quietly relaxed.
How many days in Hawaii were you?
I think we were about 4 at the end, yeah.
Yeah, right.
But, flew in there. One of the ones that was, we did that, what's it called again, with the Air Force,
Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor, how could I forget that? Yeah. We did that little sort of tour and all that. Started on the big boat and the destroyer, and then went back around and did the because you had to get a booking time to get onto that tender to get out to where they sunk the ships and all that sort of thing. And you watched a 20-minute video at the start and sitting there with Josh, and he said, I learnt more in that 20 minutes about the war I did all my years at school. And it was a very informative video to watch, and how the Japanese invaded and the Americans how they scuttled boats to the side of the harbour instead of blocking it up. And just an interesting, made you think a bit about life again.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
In recent years, you can get out into the island in the middle there where they got the old runway. And there's actually a Adelaide RAAF plane sitting there, one of the F-111s.
Jeez.
And if you look around all the tin, there's all bullet holes shot in through all the old.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing place. And look, you get out there, and even that bit of oil that just appears out of the water.
Yeah, it's still going. They won't let you on that. They won't let you on it at all. Over the top.
I reckon someone's underneath and dropped a 44-gallon drum of oil there and leased it out. But how it still keeps going years on. But
what about you went to San Francisco? Yes. And you saw the Giants play Colorado.
Yes.
Picturesque ground.
Lovely spot. We actually, the day before, it was myself, wife Mandy, Taylor and Joshua, we went one little way for a tour, and Lenny and I went another, looking at other things. But we did that around the bay on the outside, and just to see some of the, and of course we found that the Giants souvenir shop, so we did a bit of shopping as well there. But it just to see it from the outside and the setup, and then the next day we got in and we were sitting on third baseline, and sensational field. And we got the train from, we were staying in the middle of San Fran, got the train ride out. The guy at the hotel explained it all to us. We got out there all good, and actually that night there, the Giants picture that Madison Bumgarner had a night on, a bit like you would have, Scotty, in your day.
Now he's starting to get there.
Get into it. But he threw a one hitter. It wasn't until the 8th and the crowd was right behind him. You know, the whole thing geeing it up. They took one hit off and it was just up that right field bleeder. Poor bugger. But yeah.
It's a beautiful ground. Like, I've never been there, but you see the games and where it goes over the top and the ball goes out into the bay and all that sort of stuff. The guys on the canoes trying to get home runs.
It's as good as it looks.
Yeah.
That was a night game for us. So yeah, that was sensational. Yeah. But San Francisco, for the places we went to, was one of the really ones you enjoyed, the city and all that.
For me, is it as hilly, like where you see the trams going up?
You sit and watch all those movies, American movies, and you see the cable car. Look, we rode the cable car, Lenny and Josh and myself, because you got a backpack on, so you got to put it on your front, and you hang on the side of the cable car. And we're talking to this guy that's working all the levers and doing all this and that. But as it went down and all that, it was amazing to sit there. And there's that little wiggly road they have.
They show right up the top there.
They show it in all the car chases.
Car chases, exactly right.
Oh, there it is there. That went down to Fisherman's Wharf and we caught it back up.
And you went out to the Dodger Stadium. How big's the car park out there?
Massive, big show, yes.
And that was watching the Nationals?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
And that one, did that go for a fair while?
Yeah, that was a lunch, 12:30 start, so obviously we were at Hollywood, staying there in Hollywood off the boulevard, so we got our taxi ride out, got out there early, once again, Dodger Stadium, got to go to the souvenir shop. But where we got dropped off, it was right behind like home plate, the catcher, and you came in because we had a shop around, got what we liked, headed in, and you think, gee, we're 3 or 4 levels up. That was just amazing how it was built into the hillside. But yeah, that one there, the other team didn't follow the Dodgers script. But after we got to about the 8th innings, all the locals are starting to leave, and then suddenly someone scored, was tied up, went to 14 innings. And there's me thinking, I need another beer, but I couldn't leave and all this sort of thing. The bar shut down, or I went looking. A lot of the stuff had closed down at the 8th innings because you're thinking everyone's going. So and it just went on, and you thought, is it going to be one? We went for until 14 innings. So we got another 2.5 hours out of that.
Got your money's worth.
Oh yes. But then see, after the game finished, we're standing around taking photos of the big stadium and our background shots and all that. And we get out, and there's a couple of big LA things out in the car. Got to take photos of them. And then we looked around, there's the last bus. That one was just going to LA. We were out Hollywood, so we had to then get into LA, someone explained it, get on the train, go that way. So when we got off in Hollywood, we walked up these stairs and there's our hotel. Yeah, beautiful. So it worked. But that was a great game to watch as well. Day game, and people took, I think it was a Wednesday or something. People took time off in the middle of the week and went to the baseball. You thought, nice.
You went and saw another game at Anaheim or the
Anaheim one.
Angels?
Yeah, that was a night game. We sat at right field for that one, just to maybe take a catch. But that was a nice stadium as well. That was out near Disneyland way out there, and we took that one in there, and that was just a straightforward.
Who played in that game? Trouty or?
Yeah, Trouty played at centrefield. He tipped one over the fence for us. Yeah. But the Oakland A's, because I always saw them, in the 70s and 80s, they were a good side there and that. But the A's, they came along and won that night, so it all went over the home teams, and we actually teamed up 3 games when we started at San Fran and then Anaheim and Hollywood. They were all the tour was set around the baseball games.
Yeah, nice.
Mandy, my lovely wife, had to sort that out at home with the scheduling,
and she's very good at that. We've been to a few Victorian trips and stuff, and she's very, very good at that.
Yeah. So gave her a challenge. So
good fun, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So that holiday starts to wind up, and we head back to Oz.
Well, not quite after Hollywood. Don't forget, we went to Vegas. We had to drive there. We had a couple of days driving, and before we left, I said to that great birthday boy from Gawler, Lenny, get your license. You can drive too. And I think it was the first hour we're out on, because we had the car for the Sunday, Monday, and the 6 of us in it with the suitcases and all. So we drove from Hollywood around to Lake Havasu and stopped at Hoover Dam on the way.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's a beautiful one.
And it was a good drive, but then, Lenny, you driving? No, you're all right. He chickened out, the naughty guy. But we got to Vegas, and that was a couple of days there, and we did the helicopter ride into the big dam, and thought, well, we might not get a chance to do this again. But had a little gamble. Josh Taylor, too young, wait over there. But it was that was a great place to sit and to see. Even there in Vegas, you see the homeless with their blue tarps again. Or there's that guy with the song we talk about. $1 for beer, $1 for weed. They're honest.
Yeah, and we were talking before. Like I've never faced the homeless. We went to Victoria, and with me, you and Shoddy, after a few drinks at the casino, coming back over the bridge, and that was the first time I, saw homeless people actually begging for money, but it wouldn't be anything like, obviously, in the United States.
Yeah, it still surprised me for a country that's supposedly wealthy, but there's people homeless.
Was it called the Tenderloins, was it, in San Francisco?
Tenderloins.
The Tenderloins was the street where the homeless people started.
Oh.
I reckon it was called the Tenderloins.
No, we ended down at Fisherman's Wharf one night for a feed. That was a great feed down there. Even like you were in San Fran there back in that period, you went to Alcatraz. And you look at that, and you see that movie with Clint Eastwood, and there's that cell that he was in. It was all filmed from.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah. And you looked at that, and you thought, oh yeah, this. And you see those movies now come on, and even like we talked about the San Francisco, the cable and that little wiggly road at the top. You see that in the car chases in some of the old classic movies. We've been there.
Yeah. But it would be confronting, like here in Australia, where we're pretty good, like with the homeless. We don't have a lot. Obviously, we do have a problem with homeless people within South Australia and Australia, but like
just
everything you see,
everywhere.
in America, it's just very in your face and very confronting.
So it's good to have all your little 1 and 2 cent pieces to give all of those people.
For sure.
But it's a great place to visit, isn't it? It's got everything for everybody.
I don't know how soon we'll be getting back there, but you're lucky you got it done and dusted when you did.
Well, hopefully in a couple of years things will
I think so.
move on.
A year or two, Hopefully Qantas survives it. And,
For sure.
we'll get back in the air.
Back we go. Yes.
Let's ready to head back to Oz.
Yes, come on back.
We'll do a light chat about your work and where you started back in 1977 at Sagasco.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously a 4-year apprenticeship there. Where did it go from Sagasco?
Well, it didn't go far because I stayed there for 32 years.
Oh, righto.
Sagasco. Then they went the gas company and they changed. We got a few uniform changes over the period, a couple of signage with the vans and all that. And I think after over that period, we went from Sagasco and suddenly we were Boral Energy, so that was another uniform change. And then they went to Origin, so that was another uniform. We still
name changes, same old thing.
Same old thing. Well, we were still at the Brompton Works, and it was interesting. It was good family. You had that sort of mateship around it.
Nice.
Social club, that sort of thing, and even interesting. You still sit there, and there was guys involved. You think someone you know him from baseball, and there was different guys like Les Buller. Played at West Torrens State in Australia, and he was in one of the fitters, and a couple other guys around there. Harvey Hicks played up for West Torrens. He was up in head office, and Ray Buckley and the other guys Bob Price were umpires are around, and Con Gurio that played it good with the third base. Yeah, they're all right. Yeah, go there. Then Dave Watkins.
Yeah.
Remember him? Body from Adelaide Angels. His lad Davey's still there, but Dave was the trainer involved out at Port Pat. So I'd walk into the box drawer on a Monday morning. Oh, the back's a bit sore. Come out here and I get it rubbed out and all that. But everyone looked after you.
Yeah. But you still have a few beers at the old Somerset with a few of the boys from the old days.
Yeah, catch up a few stories.
Yeah,
we've dragged you along there a couple of times.
A couple of times I've been there. I've enjoyed a few beers out there with the boys.
Stories haven't changed much.
It's still a red brick hotel, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a classic. It's one of those lovely spots.
Yeah, nice.
2009, did it start to wind up there? Was there a redundancy of? Is it APA or?
APA took over. That was the Australian Pipeline Trust, bought them out, and they just wanted the gas mains, the infrastructure, the service and install. We got flicked. We were told, as they all do, your job's the same. So we had 2 years under that agreement. But a couple of the guys, when it was announced, they got a redundancy, a couple of guys were teary, and there's me going, yes. So we were off. I was off. I was ready to work for myself.
Yeah.
And,
so that was the birth of Steve Conry Gas Service there? Or?
Well, there was a little hiccup in the middle because as it was announced, and we had about 6-7 weeks before it was going to finally shut, there was a couple of guys at that Got to Get a group spoke to me, and I said, all right, I'll give it a try. Yeah. I worked. I lasted there for 5 weeks. I think it was about the end of week 3, I come home and said to Mandy, this ain't really me. No, I need to be doing what I was doing, and I suppose I'd worked under a boss and rules, and I needed to have that run it myself.
So yeah. And then now you got Josh working with you as well. So
you're all right.
And here we are, 11 years on. It's going strong.
No, it's going well. Yeah, look, we are. Look, can I say we're busy? We're doing well. Josh has done well. He's been with us 6.5. Yeah. So we got work. We're not sitting there wondering.
I always know when Steve's busy because he doesn't phone up for a beer. So the winter times come in and he's very busy.
It wouldn't be too many times he doesn't ring up about a beer.
No.
Sure.
Well, no, we do have a casual walk around, but that's all right.
All right, well, that's really got us
Yeah.
through the holidays and the
Yeah.
and the work stuff. Let's start.
And it's good to see Lenny actually made it back from America as well, which was really good to hear. But I want to start with your footy.
Can I go back one?
Yeah, go for it, mate.
I should tell you this one because it's not many people know, but I took the lovely Mandy on the honeymoon holiday to Bali back,
Honeymoon.
well, 31 years back. You
Lenny
know.
wasn't there.
No, Lenny, Di wouldn't let him out that weekend. He had to stay and do the gardening. Yes, come on, Di. But no, we were over in Bali for about 10, 12 days and we were supposed to fly into Melbourne on the Friday morning. Mandy phoned her mum back home the Thursday. Yeah, how are things going, whatever. And then the message come down the line, there was an airplane strike. So there was no planes, there's no pilots or nothing. So when we flew into Melbourne on the Monday morning at 6:30, there we are in shorts and t-shirt, looking pretty, and everyone's in the collar jacket.
Yeah.
It's all cold, and no planes. So we sat in the airport for 8 hours, and we came home on one of those raffle ride things. But only thing where you sit in your seat and you take off that way, suddenly you're going sideways. and when we landed in Adelaide, they dropped the tailgate at the back, so we came off a bit like Rambo, you know, with a gun and all. So that's part of our highlight of our honeymoon.
The
So there
Top
was
Gun,
one
the Top Gun. Yeah.
one to remember from the honeymoon. You know, all the other things that happened. Can't tell you about that, but you know, swimming and drinking and. But that was that was another holiday to remember.
Yeah, nice.
Take the bride there and bring her home on a raft.
Get the hot rod plane on the way home. That's good.
Yeah. So that brings us to your footy career, Steve. You played schoolboy football.
Yes, I did.
Take a mouthful. Schoolboy footy. You played back in 1976 and 1977, where you won a final.
Yeah.
And you got a little pin on your
Yeah, it's got the
On your
little
little shirt there.
little premiership.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Some fond memories of those days playing footy.
Yeah, no, I played Elizabeth South Primary in Year 7.
Yeah.
That was just, you got Friday afternoon off of school.
Yeah.
So why not? And then over that course there, I got invited to play for the Central District's mini league 3 times. I got 3 runs, so I got to play on Thebby Oval, Adelaide Oval, and the last one we played on Elizabeth Oval. And that day we won.
The famous Elizabeth Oval.
Yeah, actually a guy that was in the team that day, you might know his name, like we called DR.
Oh, we'll get to that a bit later, I think, Ashman. I think we'll get that. Yeah, run around. Yeah.
Run around that footy team that day. So.
He's a good bloke to go out for dinner with, mate. He might bring that one up later.
Bring that one up. Yeah. But then you went to Central United, I think it was, and you won a B grade final out there with the boys.
Yeah, it must have been that time when we ended up with the high school team, went to Boys Tech, and that sort of thing. We won I was in year 11, we won a final that time as well, and played on Elizabeth Oval. Wasn't a big scoring game. I think I kicked the first goal of the game for us, and we're playing up forward. And that was,
What position did you play?
Well, that day it was full forward.
Full forward.
Yeah,
a bit short for a full forward,
Yeah, but they had to be quick.
Straight
Had to
to
be quick.
Yeah.
But no, on that team, no, we were just a group of lads. I think one of the guys on the team was a guy named Phil Graham. He went on and played for Centrals and all that in the big leagues. But we ran around. We won that by a couple. It was only a low scoring game because a big oval, and we're all 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds running around, and big oval to play on.
Yeah.
Then after the next year, that's when I went out to Central United under 17s. Won a flag.
Won a flag. Got the big pennant on the chest. Still wearing it proud.
Yeah. And funny enough, DR was in that team too.
There we go.
He goes
There's our restaurant boy.
That do we
mention,
And so, this is the question I've got, and
Hang on, before you go to that time out, and I should mention the coach of that under 17 side was John O'Neill. Do you know that one? Do you know his daughter, Sharon Williams?
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Sharon Williams, and God bless, she's passed a few months back now. But Sharon's father, John, because Sharon's older brother, Graham, played in that team as well and played a bit of baseball. So Sharon's father, John O'Neill, was our coach.
And I always said when you come to the Div 6s, everybody's related somehow. There you go, yeah.
He probably made wetsuits as well, did he?
Yeah.
Well, I was a Holden's man with Joe. He worked at Holden's with Joe, John O was, But he was, once again, a coach and good bloke.
Yeah.
But he, set the rules up.
Hard man,
Yeah, he was good. So, there's a bit of trivia again.
Another story, but the question I was going to ask is, obviously we're going to talk about your baseball right now. And back, 1976, 1977, and I think I've got you back to 1972 when you won your first trophy playing baseball.
Yes.
But how does, like, a boutique sport like baseball, obviously your footy, cricket, all those sort of stuff in Australia, that's your main sports. But how does a guy like yourself find baseball that early?
I suppose back then I was going to Elizabeth House Primary, and my year 6 teacher was a gentleman by the name of Clyde Williamson. Clyde Williamson's a life member of Central District's baseball now. He was from way back there. But Clyde, at that stage, we had a good junior primary school side with baseball. And I shouldn't mention it, but there was a guy named Lee Roberts as well as Darren Roberts there as well in that period there. So, and this year, as I was in year 6, they had 11 or 12 players, and maybe I was the 13th or 14th, and they cut because they only wanted so many. So Clyde Williamson, my teacher, or we know him as Mr. Willie. He was called back then, Mr. Willie Conry. But then, you know, there's mum and dad saying, that's your year 6, do as you're told, you know, as mum and dad. He said, you better come out and play at Central's under 13s, where he coached the under 13s on Saturday. Yeah. So you sort of suddenly end up, and that was played on Ridley Reserve. And we lived one street away from Ridley Reserve down at Elizabeth there. Yeah. So I could walk around the corner reserve, ride the bike, and there was Mr. Willie, and he was our year 6 teacher, and he had a big metre-long yard roller, and he said, turn up the training on time. Yep, don't do your homework, just do this, and off we went. So, but I suppose in that same stretch on that street I lived in Elizabeth, 4 doors up, who do you reckon lived there?
DR.
There you go. Yes.
Our restaurant now.
Yeah, he's starting to come in a fair bit. So you played 300 games for Centrals?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
And then you became a. Where's the baseball? The baseball was the baseball was in there. Yeah. So you played 300 games, and then you became a life member.
Yeah. Hang on, there's a life members one here. That's
upside down.
Is
Upside down.
No, it's not, is it? Oh, is it? Oh,
Upside down.
it's all good. All good. Yep.
So you got a lot of fond memories of the Central District Baseball Club.
Yeah.
You know, I know in the early years we won our share of games, but you know, obviously we had a couple of years there we didn't win a lot. But you know, you look back at even juniors. I think our under 17s program suddenly turned up. There was only 4 or 5 of us, so they said, "No, you got to go and play seniors." And I would have been 15 at the time. So suddenly I'm up in seniors, and our B grade then was played in Div 3. So we had a Div 1A grade and then Div 3 B grade. Yeah. And I was 15 and hanging with the boys. Have a couple of beers, sneak a glass of beer. I didn't have the money. I was only at school, so I didn't have the money to go. The boys, no, buy a couple. Here you go. So I'll have a beer with them at the end. And that.
Fantastic. So the Centrals thing came to an end, and the merger obviously with Golden Grove. And I'm not from that era, but that was obviously a big part of both clubs. And why did that merger? Were both clubs struggling at the time, or?
Baseball SA was sort of, they wanted the 10-team comp. And there was us, Golden Grove and Norths were out. And the 3 sides were all at the bottom end. I shouldn't say struggling, but we were at the bottom end of the table. So that was sort of pushed that way. It's sort of, we played against Golden Grove a couple of times during the season. And at that period, a gentleman by the name of Peter Mason was the president. And the secretary was Ray Sharp. And our president at the time was Mark Batson, the old coot. And I was the coach. So the 4 of us would sit and have a beer and a chat after the game, and how's your club going? What are we doing? And we did a couple of social things together. Myself and Peter Mason got together and organised a gentleman's or girly night. So a couple of the Golden Grove. It was with some other club, the 3 clubs in the mix. But it was just, you know, as a fundraiser for each club and help out, and just to see if everyone sort of got along and whatever.
Was it a long transition from that stage to when it got up and going? Like, was it beginning, obviously, of
the summer season?
No, I suppose we spoke 2 or 3 times during the summer. Then you had that 4 or 5 months, you know, break over winter, and
then kicked off that
following year.
Kicked off and that sort of thing. But even once we got momentum going, I think it was all decided within a couple of months.
Right. So it was pretty quick in there.
So do you think both sides, if they didn't merge, would have faded away, or do you think that actually made the 2 clubs an actual strong identity?
I think as the years have gone on, it's made the Golden Grove Dodgers down the bottom ranks, you know, the 4, 5s and 6s and 7s where we sit strong. The 1s and 2s had that period a few years back where they were strong.
Yep.
And hopefully that will turn around, and we'll talk about that obviously soon.
Yeah, we're coming up to that. Yep.
Central's part of it, I suppose, where we struggled at that period, going back, say, 5 or 6 years earlier, to be honest. We went and played on Elizabeth Oval for 3 years.
Okay.
And what it was, people driving past didn't know there was baseball in there. And that meant you lost your touch with your junior program.
Yep.
And there were some of the juniors, we sort of lost that contact with them there.
Sure.
We would have survived.
Yep.
It was all about putting, we had, you know, out of the 9 or 10 players at Centrals, maybe there was 4 or 5 like Jamie Anderson, Brenton Fowler, we know, Travis Oppett's Hollywood didn't play on, and there was a lad, Chris Morgan, came out, Dale Ward ended up at East Torrens.
Sure.
There was 4 or 5 good Div 1 players, and then maybe the other 3 or 4 were just hanging on the edge.
Yep.
And even myself, I had to play. I was coaching the 1s in the last year, and I would have been mid-30s. I played shortstop one night.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I had to fill in, you know. And
Yeah.
I said I was 38, 39 or something. I shouldn't be doing this, but you did it.
What about the lad from? There was a lad from the Riverland that you coached early. That you helped him on his way to go over to the big sticks.
Well, actually,
What was his surname?
Procopec.
That's it. I spoke to the bows there, and I couldn't spell it. So
I'm glad Ashman didn't try to say that first, because that would have gone wrong.
you trying to spell it?
Yeah.
You trying to spell it? It's pretty hard.
Well, I suppose you should go back a bit and say one time we were sitting there, I think Barry O'Brien was coaching us out at Centrals, and he said, I've got this guy coming down from the Riverland on the weekend. He's a pitcher, and he's going to, no worries. And the boys all keen. Yeah, no worries. That's good, Baz. And it was Ken Procopec, Luke's father. And Ken played with us for 4 or 5 years, and all the family had come down on a Sunday, and I think there was about 6 of them in the family, you know, a couple of the girls and son and that. But Luke was the elder lad, and he was the star, wasn't he? But Ken came out, and he was actually my high school teacher at Boys Tech Fremont.
Yes.
And then I come out and I looked and I thought, hello, Mr. Procopec, it's Ken, you know. He's I'm in my mid-20s at this stage, and he was a real gentleman type thing. But yeah, Luke came out, and a few years later I'm coaching the 1s, and I've made contact with Ken. We've got Ken out throwing and whatever, and we were sitting there this day. I think it was about 4 or 5 games in with playing Port. And I won't say the Port's pitcher's name, Doothie, but anyway, the boys are all having a crack. And we were doing all right. We're up in front this day. And I had Joel Masrick's dad, Peter Masrick, as the assistant. Another fella, Grant Sims Millie, was the team manager. So I sat there, what do you reckon, boys? Yeah. Ken, can we throw Luke in? Yeah, go on. So we gave Luke. Luke would have been 14. He was a left-hander.
Div 1.
In Div 1. Yeah. And unfortunately, he put the ball over the fence.
Yeah.
He cleaned the fence up and he went, home run, well done. And you looked at that as a 14, and I think he just turned 15. You looked and thought,
Hitting home runs in Div 1 at 14 years of age.
Yeah, he was just a freak.
Yeah. So how far did he go? How far did he get into the Yank?
What was the American team they played for?
LA Dodgers.
Oh right,
He got
Jesus,
picked up for
that's
there,
odd, isn't
and
it?
he went there for a few years.
But did he play for the Dodgers, or did he?
Yeah.
Well, for the big team, actually lined up in the Dodgers.
Jeez.
He went home as a pitcher, and I believe he got retrained as a catcher, but he got traded partway through.
Jeez.
So,
Yeah.
you look at that one.
Yeah.
He's in Baseball's Bulldogs as well. Robert Laidlaw wrote those books. And
How do you think? Can I have the book for a sec? Because Steve Conry has shown me this book a few times. I just want to show you.
In arguments.
It does. I just want to show you one thing. I'll try to find. There you go. That's the one. Tell me. I can't see whether you can see, but that's the dirtiest moustache I've ever seen in my life.
Alongside
I don't think he's changed a bit. No.
That was
But anyway-
alongside the major league player.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, the merger happened. We all come across. Obviously, you had a fair bit of success in the Div 5s and Div 6s since you came over. I've got a couple of highlights. You played in the big Div 7 final with the Ashman, Joel Perks, and all that sort of stuff. And
That big red cat out there.
That's right.
yes, and I've told the story where I've heard you sing the song, but you've always got fond memories of playing with those sort of boys.
Yeah. I suppose you can go back before we amalgamated. We had a couple at Centrals there.
Okay.
And, we sort of, Joe and myself would have been late 80s on the 90 mark. We dropped Joe Bolson, that guy with the big hands. He's a
Small
picture
wine
of-
glass, big hands.
Yes. But even Huey popped down there. We had a couple of finals. We had a couple of guys, and I'll call them misfits in a way. They were just out fumbling around, and suddenly Joe and myself turned up. We started teaching them turn double plays. Joe pitching strikes. We got out, we hit the ball, and you taught them a few basics, and suddenly we were in the Div 6 grand final. And the next year we lost it against Henley. The next year we saw them again in Div 5, but we had a few players. Dieter Erlab and Robert Lohman came in. Huey Childs, remember that guy? Yeah, the doctor.
The old Mount Gambier boy.
The
old 6 mil plate, I think.
I saw him on the weekend at the presentations. I actually I preferred you with the long hair, mate. I'm sorry. The short hair don't suit you.
Yeah, but you know those guys were around then, and even for that last year, you guys know, but even Joe Bolson's older brother Alf came back. Alf was a Henley and Grange guy. Alf came out. He said, "I'll just coach on the base and help be with his little brother Joe," and ended up having a few games. And grand final day, he was there, and Peter Watton, another great name he was involved in that side as well. But even at the end of it, it was a great for Joe to have time, because we say there's Joe's older brother Alf. Alf's about 5'2", good-looking bloke and a golfer, and there's Joe, 7 foot and 100 and whatever kilo and
103.
You're not that heavy, Joe. You're not that heavy.
Wow. He's cuddled up. But we went on from there, and for a couple of guys in there that just that Barry Pike we mentioned, he was the paper chucker up Craigmore way. He tossed the papers and whatever. Barry played 2 years of baseball and played in 2 grand finals, 1 loss and 1 win. And there's not many guys I've known that played baseball. There's to win, to be in 2 grand finals, let alone win one and lose one. And there's a lot of guys that go through sport that don't get to finals, don't get to grand finals, don't win one.
Yeah.
But even as we went on through the amalgamation, Peter Mazurek and myself were quite a good combination. First year in, Dave Creswell took a Div 5 side, Peter and myself took a Div 6 side each, and then we sort of straightened up in the next few years. We had some good... We were always in the finals around the mark, and they were competitive sides, but you had a group there, they crossed that white line, and I'll throw his name in there. Peter Mazurek was a shocker for it, but Joe could pitch and Peter could... So we had a couple of good guys in that mix. You could throw them in different games, and they were competitive people. But we'd be down, 3 or 4 digs in, and you're like, come on, guys, let's get some. And like, bang, bang, it all happened. We came back and won games, and that's where you had that confidence with that group.
For sure, man, for sure. And I've got your Div 5 final in 2007, 2008. Got to a grand final, but there was a certain member of your team that couldn't make that game.
He wasn't allowed to come that day, Lenny. Nah.
We shouldn't laugh at him.
Missed the grand final, Lenny. And you won that one, yeah?
Yeah, well, Lenny had to go to his lad, Adam and Renee got married. Lenny, his eldest lad, Adam. And but we had a cardboard cutout of Lenny and Di on the bench. But yeah, it was a stinking hot day, 38, 40 degree. It played out at East Torrens. But yeah, you look at it all.
Anytime you beat East Torrens is a good day.
Yeah, actually, those guys, we were, after 3 digs, we were down 12-4. And I always bring this up with guys, and I never think the game's over. Well, we were down 12-4, and it was, we had 14 in our squad, and Lenny had gone off to, so I think we had 4 or 5 on the bench that day. But what it was, after about 3 digs, Joe had thrown the first 3 and got hit around a bit, but then we took a couple of guys out. I came in the 4th. I came off the bench, and I ended up playing 3 digs, but I came in that next 4th. We got a rally on, picked up some runs, got back in. We ended up winning at 20-12.
Jeez.
The East Torrens. Gee, that's a huge win.
20-12, man.
Well, the East Torrens guys didn't talk to us after. I don't know why. They were a bit pissed off. But the guy that we all loved to hate, Steve Brooks came in, controlled the mound, threw the googly, came in hard, competed, and he was another crazy guy up there. Must be the names.
Well, it might have been the meow sounds that often made.
That would have been Steve Bottroff behind him, winding him up, sort of thing. But we had a great side that year. Once again, you crossed that line. We had Jamie Anderson in there, Chuck Fowler, Rick Norris.
That's some big names.
Yeah, they were good lads. A lot of them played ones with us at Central, say 5-10 years earlier, and they came in but that day they competed, and I must say it was one of the great comebacks. And you look at that, and a lot of those guys deserved it.
And just quietly, Steve Bottroff, that's a whole episode on its own, dude. Jesus Christ. But obviously, a lot of time at Golden Grove now. You've been the president of the club, you've been the bar manager, you've done so much at the club. Last year, you and Shoddy came back on board. Shoddy, the president, you the little right-hand man. I like to say the puppet master, but I'm not going to say that.
He did look after the bar.
Yeah, and you guys have done a lot. You got AJ to come across, and obviously the Divi One's had a. I'm going to get that Mozzie this time.
He'll get you.
An okay season last year, but now you've appointed the new coach, as we talked about earlier, DR. So, how do you think the big fella's going to do?
That's a good appointment, isn't it?
I think so.
That's a great appointment. I think it's almost a flag in the ground moment to once again move forward again and create history. I think it's got
I suppose
potential.
we can
Good potential.
Go back into a bit of history, I suppose. We were involved 10, 11 years back, and that was back when we used to make the trips down to Mount Gambier for the Masters. And everyone bagged us because we stayed in the West Hotel going around down at Mount Gambier, the Federal.
It was the worst hotel, dude.
But it was convenient, you know. That was the sleep. We went there to the beer and whatever. But actually, one of the guys that managed that pub there, his father, Ian Nathan, was involved at the Dodgers way back beforehand at... great little spot, but we used to sit up until 2, 3 in the morning, as you guys know, you were there. And one day there with Ray Sharp and a few other boys, and we were just talking about where the club was going. And you go there, you do that, and that was. And going back to 12 months back, I caught up with Mark Shoddy and Steve Pardo at the Somerset. You weren't there that night, Magic. You didn't
get a job. So.
I missed the job that year.
And we just said, look, where the club's sitting at the moment, if we don't get back involved this year, it's going to take 12 more years to get on the committee and get a vote and say some things. Because a lot of people came to us and said, look, it's just not quite happening. Now, to go on 12 months on where we were we've been in lockdown for 3 months.
Yeah.
But on the quiet, we've been sneaking around.
Pandemic, you reckon?
Wow. Hopefully we're all well. I think a couple of West Ends will
Flush the system.
yes.
I seriously think Steve Conry and Shoddy were the busiest two guys through that whole 3 months that I've ever seen, dude.
But well, look, we caught up with DR and had a chat. And we had a couple of chats with him, a couple of visits, and
but it wasn't just him. We won't go into other names, but you had a fairly wide range of interviews you done, and DR obviously came at the top of that.
Yeah, look, couple of them. Look, it's funny things with contracts. I say they're contracted. I think that's an excuse, but anyway, contracts is worth nothing, is it these days?
Not as long as you can pay it out.
Look, anyway, but DR he came back with some just the right enthusiasm, and look, we took it to the point of we grabbed 6 of the senior guys and met with him quietly under the code.
Yeah. Made sure social distancing was done and stuff.
But those boys were asked questions, and politely Mark and myself said a couple of things, and we were just asked, shh. Okay, so, but it was up to the boys to filter their thoughts, and Darren took it on, and I think he's taken it on for the point that he can see he can change things.
I think it's the right time coming out of this pandemic too. The timing is beautiful for these boys to mend, I think it's the right time to get off the fucking watermelon drinks. Seriously. That's not a good culture. I'm sure DR will move him away from that into something.
Don't look at me, Steve. I didn't say
something amber. Get off the fucking watermelon, because that's just a joke. But I think it is the right time for the club now, for these young boys to step into that manhood and actually leave their footprint here for the next young kids that are going to come through in the next decade. And I say, there's that guy, there's that guy, there's that guy. It's now time for their culture to come through this club and take it to the next bit, because the time's just there. I think it's exactly right.
So like my lad Geordie and like the rest of the kids, they need someone to look up to them. These kids have got a opportunity, like your lad, Jake. All these kids have got an opportunity now to take this club to the next level. And I think DR, as you said, stake the flag in the ground.
I think DR really joined the club to have dinner with me. We are restaurant friends, and I think it'll go a long way. But
but I think the time's now, and I think we've got a great opportunity. We've got AJ.
AJ's still about. Yep. He's been signed back up with us again. That's got to be done through an agreement plus his visa. So that'll all fall into line. You mentioned the lads there. Don't forget they've had. And I actually tap them on the shoulder a bit and say, now it's been 5 or 6 years, because we've had the Clayton Carson couple of years, we had Kintaro Ueda, and then we've had Phil Herzenhausen in the last 3. Maybe the boys themselves, not so much Phil, but the boys got a bit too relaxed, too friendly with Phil maybe in that scenario.
Yeah.
Clayton Carson, when he was about the first year, he had some of the other guys that shot off to the Goodwood Club, but he was he had his plan in place. He was very good.
He was a very good coach, man. A very good coach.
He was loud and strong. He was directive, wasn't he? Like,
Yeah, but he was approachable as well. But he knew the game better than all of us, I suppose, wasn't it? That's one of the secrets. Kintara Ueda, the lad there, he came in from Brisbane. I think Ronnie Murph stitched him up. But yeah, he was surprising. We got around it once we explained a few things and got him to realise he couldn't carry it on his back. He became a better coach and player as well in that mix. And then, I thought the first year or two was good. Last year, things wavered. I think the players lost that bit. Now, with DR in the mix, DR's got a lot of contacts, and he'll bring other people in with him. So it's not going to be just DR's voice there. He'll set some rules up. He'll set them up, and I think he'll set them in the right direction. Don't forget, he's played a lot of baseball. Kenzie's, he's Torrens, he's coached. Goodwood, he's coached. He's been around, and he understands the game. But he's also in that, I suppose Darren, I can say he's about 26 days older than me, because he's a December 1960 boy as well. He's been around, but he also knows how to deal with the young lads. He can talk to them and sort of explain it. I think we'll even see him involved in the junior program. There's Geordie and the other kids around there. There's a guy that you can approach and say hello to, and he knows a lot of people in baseball. There's some people he's mentioned he's going to get out to help out training with the 1s and 2s and 3s in that squad.
But at the end of the day, it looks like it's an exciting. It's exciting now for the club going forward, and there's a lot of talent around the club to help the coaching and all that sort of stuff. And obviously DR is going to tap into your Diplocks and hopefully your Sam Tibbetts and all those guys around the club as well. So the future is very, very bright for that Divi 1, Divi 2 program.
Yeah, one of the other guys, you mentioned those couple of people there, Dipper and Sam Tibbetts. There's a lot of good, not Matt Burns and Dana Mance and a couple of other characters around. But then one he's mentioned that he's already spoke to, and it's a guy named Tony Harris.
Yeah, well, I had a visit with him, mate. Down there.
Ash used to hang out with him.
Yeah.
Old fellas. Yeah, Tony
What's
played.
he doing?
Well, he's not coaching, I don't think, any ABL, because no one's too sure where that's all going. But he was the Giants ABL coach.
he looks as young as Steve. He has an age, Steve.
Yeah.
Jesus, similar age. We all came through that junior programs. He was at Woodville and I was at Centrals and played against him. But yeah, he's been around. Darren's already tapped him. He said, "Yeah, I'll come out."
Yeah, well,
and there's a couple of guys. So if you can get that guy out. Just for that one night to run a training program. I suppose over the years I started coaching the B grade at Centrals when I was about 20, and now under Barry O'Brien, and there was a couple other characters along the way that sort of you coached under, and that you learnt a bit how to talk and deal with people. And even like you read the articles by Malcolm Blight or John Reed or even Phil Walsh when he was around. Some of these footy articles you see, Kevin Sheedy's an interesting one. Much as we go to some of those luncheons at Centrals, we do mess around and have a drink, but some of those sports people, some of the coaches get up there and you think, he makes sense. But even as a footballer years back, Darryl Hicks gave us a bit of Gary Window. These are guys, you didn't, relate to all of it.
It does create an aura though, doesn't it? Like you bring a couple of faces in there that have a little, and you find that everybody starts standing a bit taller. Everybody's starting to.
But the thing about it is, it's always good as an athlete. Like you've played sport, we've all played sport, to get another voice, to get another direction. So, DR coming in, bringing these other guys coming in, the guys we've got around the club. I think it's starting to really look like a really good solid mix, and we've got.
It's a good time to leave that footprint. I just think the timing's better.
Yeah,
but it's like anything like that, as you say, if they can get up, and the boys are already, from what I've heard, a couple of the stories.
And we've got a great foundation of kids and senior players at this club. That's what I've always been amazed at. We've got a good group of kids.
Where we finished bottom last season, that squad shouldn't have. It was too good.
Yeah.
And there is some very good players in there. Even our pitching, I don't know why, but there's so many other clubs, making the calls on these lads quietly because Facebook's so easy to tap into them here and that now. But I think when we'll get through this next segment of the next few months, and as we've said, in any sport, be it football, basketball, soccer, baseball, winning culture.
Yeah.
And I think that'll come back. Under Clayton Carson for a couple of years, we won some games. We weren't up the top end, we were in that middle. And I think my feeling is with Darren involved now, we'll be back in that middle run without putting too much pressure on him and saying finals.
Especially in the first year.
Yeah, but you want that expectation, like, not pressure, but you want that expectation. Yeah, not finals, but start winning some games. And as we all know, winning changes the culture. You start getting more confident. The guys walk around with, as you said before, the shoulders are up and all that sort of stuff. I'm sorry saying kids, you're men. I'm sorry about saying kids, but the time I think is looking really positive for the Dodgers. I really believe, looking at our junior programs, looking at our senior, I think it's a really, really positive time at the club.
But you look at our Div 2 and 3 programs from last year, and even a couple of those boys snuck into the ones like, I shouldn't say the young little fella, Ethan Murphy.
Yeah,
big lad.
I'm sorry.
Hits the ball well. He took out the batting for the ones. Yeah,
I'm telling you, that's not a kid. That is a man. That's a big kid.
Here's a quick story. We took him to Geelong because Ronnie, his dad, played in the Masters for us in Geelong and all that. And Ronnie's elder brother Trevor,
Butterball. Yes, I've had a few.
Ethan came over as our bat boy. Yeah. And now that we had a team word over there, Joe teased him along, and it was just to get Ethan fired up. Boobies. I don't think poor old mum answered, Ethan! Yes.
He's a big stonking kid, man.
But you look at some of those lads, with Ethan, and then you've got Braden and Justin Caskey, Harry Bastian.
And you got the boys come back from college last year, so they'll have a year settled in now.
Yeah. John, young Johnny boy, the chucker. Yeah. Johnny, I always call him Johnny English. It's Johnny English.
Yeah, English. I call him English too, and I was told I was calling him
in one game. Yeah, that was.
Even there's another lad that went to college and Kynan Skeen. He's had knee injuries, and hopefully his knees get better the next 6 months. He won't play, I don't think.
And we got my favourite, Cambo. I love you, Cambo, and I think you're going to have a cracker of this. You had a year back.
If you get off the watermelon, mate.
Yeah. No, I don't think Cambo wouldn't have been on the watermelon. Cambo would on the beers, and my son loves him, and I think he'll have a cracker of a year this year too.
I'll be working up the bar a fair bit this season. There won't be much watermelon, I tell you.
Funny enough, Cambo, you say about him, he had not a settled year, but it wasn't a great year for him. But I think towards the end of the year,
I think he came back really strong. Yeah.
But another one in that mix in there, you look at different characters. Much as Jake Shotner and Josh have had to be consistent. Another guy that I thought was down last year on confidence of being a lefty, Tom Newley, comes from the north.
Newley's.
Tom's another bloke that should be standing up and delivering a lot more. But it comes back. Johnny English, when he came back from college, his work rate was exceptional. And halfway through, you could see he didn't really switch into it. He wasn't applying. And I actually pinned him on that late in the season. And But once these guys get under there,
it's up here though.
But it's a big difference coming. And I've spoken to Cambo about it a few times. When you're in that environment where you wake up, train. It's a big difference becoming from the college program, then coming back to trying to have to do a job, trying to adjust. And I think the college boys this year will come back and they're settled in. They'll get that work ethic back and they'll understand because they've got to juggle jobs and all that sort of stuff. And I think those guys will be big leaders in the club.
Has pre-season started with them?
No, they're about 3-4 weeks out.
So not far.
See, another one too in that mix is Tom Walsh out of the under-18 program. Darren's, through his contacts, there's a couple of lads they're looking at. Can't say too much. That's not my portfolio, but they're looking at a couple of more characters and that. But even those lads we've mentioned, if we can hang on to them as a group, then don't forget we've got Kyle McShaney and Nick Fowler coming up, and Will Lumley as well, a couple of young lads. They've put their foot in the door. Corey Christensen's around the mark. If they can put
push through.
It's about, and I think Cash pointed on it, between the years, if they can believe, they'll come in there. And, don't forget Matt Phillips came back to the club. Sam Borden came back last year. Matt Phillips had a shocker in the first half of the season. Second half he went. Sam Borden, I think he had too many West End tins.
Yeah, we have to have a session. I think that's another guest over there, Sammy. I reckon that'd be a great guest.
He'll be right in the Sixers anyway.
Yeah, he come play in the Sixers. That's right.
No, Sam's got some work to do with his bat and the one still.
Yeah.
But there's those lads there that should be putting in.
Yeah, but that's a great discussion, man, and I'm really happy we discussed the Divi 1s because I think that'll be a big part of our program coming up the next few weeks.
just in closing, I think also that the whole mood swing with a new directive, and part of that is that exercise and trying to taper these guys down into a beautiful shape. That's part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
it's a total package that's gonna go forward. And
I'm excited about the year, man. I
think
really
it's
am.
a great time. It's the best time, and the timing is just perfect for.
Yeah, I think
the next
I'm going to trim out. I think I'm going to go out for the twos. I think this year.
Oh,
No, I don't.
Because you're the Caps medalist, aren't you? 3 times round, that's right.
3 2s are 6, mate. You're a sixer.
But the one question I did miss, I want to ask you is how many games all up do you think you've played of baseball?
Just a couple.
No, but you obviously 300 for Centrals.
you'd be 1,000 plus, boy, wouldn't you?
Well, that 300 game trophy, what was that, 87, 88?
No, I've got it down. It was 89, I reckon it was.
You might be a 2K boy.
Yeah.
So honestly, but if you could round the number up,
Look, I suppose I could, well, I'll say this honestly. I went to a trophy presentation about 5 or 6 years back, and I think Regina was our treasurer or secretary then, and the count was mid 900 and something.
and that was 5 years ago.
Yeah, about 6 years back.
6 years. But does his games where he plays one innings for the Sixers, where he just comes walking on, sits out at second base, gets a nice lazy slap out, and just jogs down to first base? Does that count as a game?
I wouldn't even bring up the lolly issues at all, mate. I'd stay right away from it.
Well, actually, you blokes aren't allowed lollies on the bench in Div
I
6.
think you
The fees have just gone up.
Yeah, got up. Yeah.
I suppose to say nicely there, and I'll say this as partly as an excuse, I haven't paid fees since 1990 as a life member at Centrals and all that. So, and guys like you guys come out and pay fees. So I think.
But you'd have to be 1,200 plus games.
Oh no, I think just on 1,000 bit,
No, but if you were on.
No, you
Yeah,
were
but that's
over
only,
900.
you're only just talking playing, aren't you? Look at the whole concept.
He has to be 12.
Yeah, we only play about, 15, 18 games, and we always get a washout here. And I reckon I play about 50. Well, actually, I got an extra game in this season.
Yeah, he played twos.
No,
Threes.
Three.
Got a hit.
Yeah, no, Jamie Ricks got the hit. I got the run from second. Jamie Ricks twisted an ankle, and I was our only bench sitter that day because of what, with numbers. And
He's got big calves, hasn't he?
Huge calves, man. Huge calves.
Got out there.
Him and Matty Burns could have a calf off.
I survived that one. That was fun.
So you got home?
Yeah, I scored. Got round, scored.
I'm sorry, whoever that team was, Divvy 3, that man jogged around the bases and got home. That's it.
Big calf on the scoreboard. Hey, you better get in.
Yeah, let's go. Here we go. We're going.
We're getting up there
We're
now.
getting up there now. So final 5. All right. Best sporting moment, Steve Conry.
Yeah, I'd have to say the final in the fives when we were down. That was a good comeback to be involved
That's a
in.
great comeback.
And that was 3 hours, and that was, a hot day. And as a coach and a player.
Just scared the shit out of me. Reece, you just leaving? See you later.
Good boy, good boy.
But highlights, you look at footy ones as well.
You only get the one, Steve. You get one answer.
Oh, gee, there's...
I think your baseball one was pretty good, man. Come back with that. And especially with those guys you played with.
But even as a coach, I've coached the ones at Centrals a couple of times, and sort of we didn't mention too much about in there. Some of the things we did in there, and I could tell some stories in about Peter Masrick being my assistant. And there was days there. Peter's a great one for the White Line Fever, and hopefully he watches it. But he'd say to me, "Can I talk to him?" Yeah, go for it. So I'd have Grant Simmons-Millie sit with me with the team sheets and whatever doing there, and Peter would be on first base coach, and I'd be doing third, and Peter would start talking.
It's all right.
Peter would start talking, and he'd get in the ear, and whoever it was, he'd just get them sidetracked, and they were worrying about him instead of where the ball was coming from.
Yeah, nice.
And he was just that competitive sort of guy, and
that's Maz's dad, so you know where that came from.
so he was great. We had some fun there, and even like the Masters trips, we've been away on them. And
you get one answer, Steve.
Yeah,
one answer.
it's been, well, can I say, if I front up this year, I suppose that'll be 50 years.
50 years of baseball. That's incredible.
Yeah, so I've got to ask Mandy yet.
I'm pretty sure.
I have to ask that. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, Mandy. Yeah, I think you know what he's doing this year.
But as a highlight, you look at, and I suppose I could say, we won a Div 5 at Centrals. We won the first one at Div 5 in 2000.
All right, nail it with one, mate.
What? You got one?
No, but nail it with one. You can still talk about it.
We've still got. We're up about an hour now.
Are we going good? No, we got time. But I'd say that Div 5 flag, yeah.
Beautiful. All right.
To be 12-4 down.
Yeah, to get back. Even though Lenny wasn't there, it was his birthday, yeah.
All right. So, most embarrassing sporting moment. One answer.
Someone said about strikeouts or making an error. I suppose I played in a final. Ron Chandler coaches that year. We were up in the grand final against East Torrens on the Kensey field. I made 2 blues at third base in the first couple of digs.
What was the mistakes?
I just made errors in the field.
Field errors.
All hopped a bit.
We lost the game.
Hey, we've all made errors on third base.
That's a bit, look, whether I've kicked the footy out of bounds or something,
Yeah. A sporting moment that you wish you could take back.
Oh dear. What do you take back? Why would you take one back?
Nothing.
That could be the answer.
Yeah, but nothing.
Maybe I should have taken Scott Miller out at that last innings earlier.
Yes.
The Caps medalist.
Out. If you had to bury a body 4 a.m. in the morning, you had to make that one phone call.
Oh, gee.
Who would it be? And why?
Well, obviously, if I'm going to bury a body, Cash, I'd, bury it, put a steel plate, bag of lime, steel plate.
There's a horse's head in there somewhere as well. They might have gone on top.
And to be honest, there's only one person I know that would be awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, so that's got to be Joe Bolson. Yeah. No one else is awake at that time in the morning, so I'd just ring Joe and he'd be up having a coffee and come down and give us a hand.
And I'm pretty sure he could dig a hole too, the big Joe.
Oh, he could weld a plate as well over the top, couldn't he?
Yeah, I reckon so. All right.
And carry the horse down there.
You probably have one in the fridge, old Joe. All right, so best Dodger you ever played with, and it's one answer, one person.
What about a bulldog?
Yep, that best.
Anyone.
Yeah, Central's Bulldogs, best player you ever played with.
Gee, one answer. Look,
One answer.
Brian Farley. Farles came out. He was a Los Angeles. St. Louis Cardinals. He came out as an import, back in 80. Oh, was it 86, 87? He won 2 caps with us. Barry O'Brien got him out. And, lucky enough, he stayed with me at Hillbank at the time in our bachelor party pad. Ooh, yeah. And there's some stories. He won 2 caps with us. He was a pitcher, and when he didn't pitch, Ken Prokopek, the other nice guy, pitched, but Brian played third or whatever, and I was in that mix of the team, and I coached the B grade the second year Brian was here. He won 2 caps, and he went up against Greg Elkson, and he was an exceptional player as a Dodger. But if you wanted a homegrown one, Pardo was good, Brooksy.
I'm pretty sure we said one.
I was going to say Joe Bolson, because Joe won a couple of medals and a standout guy.
So you mentioned 6 now.
Hang on, I've got to throw the last one in. Dipper?
Oh.
I was thinking a minute ago, we've actually got through one without Dipper in it. Hey, did I tell you about his mum and dad's
the garden smells just amazing. Amazing.
They chop coffee up, all the old coffee out of the thing, and then mix it into the soil.
Beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
Yeah. I hope you don't want to leave.
I hope one day I get a tour and I get invited up because I like my gardens.
We'll go around and break some windows and we'll go around there and have
All right, done. Steve Conry, absolute pleasure.
Yeah. No,
You're done. I reckon there's.
I think we've
2 more.
we could do another series. I've got some other highlights we could talk about.
I think we've broken the record. I think we're at an hour and 10 now. So I think we've done it.
I reckon we're still going north, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Hey, we may do a little add-on to this one as well. Hey, we got
to talk about.
We got 2 weeks off to the middle of July.
2 weeks off.
July.
2 weeks off.
Give the lad a bit of a break.
And we've got some real exciting guests coming up. We've started to plan.
Hang on.
We're definitely going to do the Scotty's mailbag. We're going to try to trick that up and do all that sort of stuff. If you've got any more ideas or anything, flick it onto the website. Let us know what you want. Steve's showing off all his trophies. But hey, guys, really, really happy with the support. We really love the love out there. And hey, once again, Steve Conry, Thank you
Steve
very
Conry,
much.
thank you, mate.
Thanks, Cash. Thanks, Magic.
And there'll be another hour and a half we'll post later after
I
this one.
reckon. No, I reckon there'll be another couple of little hits we'll do in a minute.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for the
See you.
support.
Thanks, crowd. Good on
Good
you.
night.
Hey, I own these boys. This is my new one, Conry's Extra.
Hey, we knew this was going to go a little bit longer, so this is what we classify as the Steve Conry Club Extras. Anything you want to say,
Steve,
extra, Steve?
welcome, mate. Welcome.
G'day, guys. How are you? Haven't seen you for a while. Catch up. Must be Thursday night, late nights.
Yeah, Thursday night, drink night. It's good to be back up the club again, isn't it?
Yes.
With the pandemic and everything sort of easing up. Hey, how about we really failed probably to talk enough about the female baseball side of the Golden Grove Central District's.
And which has been very, very successful over the last couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. They all look a dish, don't they? It's
Very attractive. Very attractive.
we didn't really touch base, and I think we're all just a little bit guilty over it. And look, this segment, this Conry Extra, we're going to kick off. Steve, how would you like to address the situation?
No, it's been great for the club, I think, going forward. If you look at Friday nights, it was a T-ball night, so the young families were out with the kids, and now we add the women's games there, and each week the girls are playing, whether it's either side.
Oh, sure.
And some of the girls have had some great games and great time, but even the opposition sides come around, and for the atmosphere and the carry-on, it's great. And the girls have really, I suppose, enjoyed themselves. They've taken it on, haven't they? And
Yeah, and
You get to see more of who they are as well.
for sure.
They've let the guard down a little bit, and
And
they're
the-
actually representing their own.
yeah, and the T-ball nights, like when I coached Geordie through the T-ball, Friday nights were fantastic. And then the girls obviously added extra to that, bringing more revenue into the club and all that sort of stuff. And the girls have done the cook-ups on a Thursday night for training nights and all that sort of stuff. So,
no, it's been great.
and like Mandy Shotton, I think you're playing A grade this year, Mandy. I think you're stepping to the next level.
It's a bit hard to run the bar though, Mandy. You seem to be in there a little bit more than most of us blokes. So,
Yes, and the drinking, and obviously Mandy being a great scorer
you
for us
better
this
look
year.
at most of the blokes behind the bar as
Yes,
well. So.
scoring this year.
But no, it's been good that the girls, and they've been involved in the club, socially and even involved with the junior program. A lot of those girls are involved as scorers and helping out with their husbands there, and their kids are involved. But as you mentioned, there's a couple of other girls help behind the bar there, Terry and JJ and Mandy Shotton with her bad knees. Because, she's just looking after those knees.
It's carrying. Your knees are sore.
Shirley's hard to it, mate.
Wait. It's your knees are sore for carrying your husband for so long. I'm telling you right now.
Maybe it's because she scores for the team.
And they're actually growing culture, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're actually starting to build that up, which.
Well, I think the
assist
whole women's sport, like over the last 3-4 years, like Geordie's part of the Golden Grove Footy Club and all that sort of stuff, and the women's program there has just taken off. I think women's sports everywhere, and baseball's no different. And I think it's amazing. I think it's fantastic.
You look at our club now, and I suppose the last 3 or 4 years I've stood behind the bar, and you meet a few characters coming up, and like Thursday night, some of the guys go home by 9 cash.
Some do. Some do.
Some of us just can't go that early. It's not good. But you stand there at the bar, and there's Cash, Pete Ranfrey, Joe Bowles and Scotty Coxell, you naughty guy, and myself, and we're the main 5 or 6, and the stories come out. The odd occasion there's someone a bit different around, and they just look at us as if we're a weird bunch. But the stories come out.
It's called alcoholics.
Yeah. But look, now, where you look at it though, the T-ball program, the junior program, and even the ladies' 2 sides in there, and hopefully that builds and grows. And you look at our senior guys, what have we got, 7 sides in there? Yeah. But when you look at that as a whole big picture, we're one of the biggest clubs going around. And even the girls add to it. They help out with some of the Thursday night meals. I think young Bree Ricks there got in that state side or development side. So, and I think Michelle Rogers got in one as well. And the girls have done well. Joe Burns too. We shouldn't.
Yeah, and just a quick one. And Bob and Rog obviously do it like with the Winter program and also the T-ball program. Bob, you do an amazing job with that T-ball program on the Friday nights and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's a huge part of our club as well. And I just think the whole club is just heading up and onwards. I think it's absolutely fantastic at the moment.
It goes to show, even when we have the Sponsors' Day or even Ladies' Day, that's an interesting one to sit back and watch, you ladies. I actually, well, been behind the bar and I was sort of partly involved coaching the ones and that bench role I do there. And can you stop drinking all the cruisers, girls? I think we went to the pub and there was about 2 lots of 24 went down. Girls, you got to be sugar free, and that, but we kept them happy, kept them going.
Yeah, but it's a great culture, though. As Ashman was talking about earlier in the podcast, it's a great culture that they're setting up, and the girls obviously bring a big part to that.
But once again, too, I think they're in that fine line at the moment, the girls, and talking to them at the end of the season, they're looking for that next coach who's going to take them to the next level. Because some of the girls are looking for a bit more coaching, and as we've suggested a couple of times, come out Thursday night and have a hit with the other guys on the second field, just to get an idea of things.
Peter Renfrey would be one of those good guys. He would take them to the very next level.
Next level.
Pete's a good listener.
That's right.
He would help them. He would help them through.
Yeah, Pete would have a good listen there. He'd sit and have a listen to the girls.
But I think it's an important part, because it's like, if you've got a daughter or if you've got something, now they can play football, they can play baseball. That's not just the normal netball and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of options.
Yeah, I suppose, well, there's the quiet achiever, Gab Payne. Michaela's come through there, and she's done well.
Midori, yes, she likes the green Midori. There's always 3 here for
and you're always got to be careful when we talk about Gav, because he gets a bit funny, Gav.
Yeah, Gab wants to be on the TV. That'll be a quiet interview, wouldn't it?
Oh,
it would be measured, wouldn't it?
be very measured, Gav.
I love you, Gav. I love you, Gav.
Yeah,
Not so much.
Gav's getting into the groundskeeping this year.
Yeah. And
Green thumbs.
that's another guy that does an amazing amount of work at the club and all that sort of stuff. So it's good. So you obviously want to. We've got a few minutes left on the extras. You obviously want to talk about
Let's chuck the Div 7
Div
North
se-
Grand
He
Final.
wants to talk about the Div 7.
2014.
The big
Steve, start us off. Come on, mate.
the big red cat. This is coming to you, big fella.
Yeah. Oh, poor posting.
We started, didn't we, with the national anthem?
Yeah, but even go a couple of weeks before that, we played Henley at home. And one of the things I'd say to our group as we go, let's try and finish in the finals and get a home one, because a home final, the club does well. That's one of the important things. Yeah. We turned the bar over like we did a couple of years ago. We had the $2 beers. I think we...
Oh, the tent day, when Shotty and the boys had the music.
Yeah, music and all. But that season, a couple of years back, when we did the sevens and we did well, that first week we played Henley at home. We won it, and then we were on the road after that. We had to go out to stinking Rotten Gawler, where Lenny lives. Lenny and Di, love you. And then the next week we were at Playford for the grand final. But there was just momentum. If you talk to Joe and some of the guys involved there, we won the first one, and we just came in with momentum. And it's between the years, we touched on that with the Div 1 squad earlier. Yeah. We had that momentum going through. And I shouldn't use the word arrogance or confidence. We just...
Joe's got arrogance.
We had the Davies boys in that ground as
Chris
well.
Andrew, yeah, Chris and Andrew, man. Great blokes, man.
They were great guys.
Great blokes, yeah, great blokes.
Big red cat out of left field. Yeah, the big red cat. Yes. But, and even Ash, I suppose you played a lot of baseball, and that was one of your first wins?
I think it was my only one.
It's even Sean Gobby, would that be his first one in the mix?
Oh, I forgot about Gobby, yeah.
I don't know that one.
But that's an interesting question, actually, so we can reverse back to Ashman. So how many games do you reckon you played of baseball, Ashman? You'd be over 5, you'd be about 500?
No, I doubt 5. I played as a junior. I had 5 cousin boys at Woodville, so...
But you'd have played a decent amount of games, and that's the big memory.
I played a few junior games.
We got to finals, you and me, and
I think I went out to state in 1982 with Barron and Yorston.
Yeah.
And they got through as pitchers, and I went out as a catch and got dragged on week 10 and week 10.
Yeah.
I should have got out as a pitcher, but I couldn't quite get the goal really right. But
but you played a lot of baseball, and one of your fondest memories is playing with the boys in the Div 7 final.
Well, sure, absolutely. You
got the rings. You don't wear them anymore.
I do.
Oh, there you go. You still got the ring. You still got the ring.
One of the things you should remember, Cash, that Saturday night you always end up back at the coach's place. We have a sing along to annoy that. Tear the piss out of the neighbourhood.
And one particular neighbour wants to complain.
I won 10 championships. And I never wake up my neighbours singing the damn song, but these guys all night.
The hardest thing that night was Reece's 13th birthday, so I missed it anyway. I had to go home.
Oh, you weren't there that night?
No, I had to sit there like that at home.
Oh, no,
You know, as much as I love Reece, you know, it was his 13th birthday from a kid to a teenager.
Yeah.
I had to sit there and suck eggs and love it. But half of me was here and half of me was with the boys.
Yeah.
You know, the euphoria of winning
Oh, yes,
a
fantastic,
final.
man.
You can't bottle that. That's
And the great thing about it is like, we've talked to a few guys, I think we're up to number 4 now, and your memories, great memories, are from winning finals like that. Like, and it's a Div 7 final. Like, I played American football, which is the most boutique sport in the world, but I'll take those memories to, they'll bury me with my gridiron Guernsey, my Hall of Fame ring. They'll bury me with that shit.
What about your 3 caps medals? You're going to bury you with them, or are you going to leave them?
Because I haven't won a premiership with them, but I'm very proud of them. But what I'm saying is, you know what I mean? The memories of winning finals with your mates.
Scotty, you've won that many fucking finals. It's a joke.
You won that.
You got more. There's 10 on 2 hands. Come on.
But what I'm trying to say is, like, it's funny. Like, you remember that
You
stuff
can't
with your
buy it.
mates.
You
You
can't
can't
buy
buy it, and that's what we're trying to talk about: the culture of the club and a winning thing. And like you're talking about a Div 7, I'm talking about playing a boutique American sport. But those memories with your mates for the rest of your life. And I want to shout out to my mates Timmy and Dee. Like, I love those boys.
Love you all.
No, but I do, because you win, and it's
Show me the money, Jerry.
show me the money. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you've got the big red cat taking the catch. That's
Hey, hang on. He took the catch.
He wanted to say
The umpire called out, and then Joel did the tumble, didn't he? Did the roll.
Now there was a stiff breeze from the south, wasn't there? That was blowing pretty hard.
And I suppose we should be nice and say he did save our necks because they were coming at us.
They were chucking doubles at us. And I remember Bowles there doing the stretch for the last time.
Hey, Jolie, the only reason he wanted to do the extra is so he could say the catch and then you fell over. That's the only reason he wanted
Joe
to do the
did
extra.
wink at the cat and say, "You've got to do this one, mate." But it was a beauty catch. The wind was blowing it towards the car park. And
But what I'm trying to say is that sport is such an amazing thing, like where you can actually, we can sit around here and talk for days. But when you win that when you get that winning culture, when you win finals, and you can spend time with your mates and actually reminisce for the rest of your lives.
all right,
man.
hey, look, just in closing up, I think
we're gonna close it.
we all have one story each.
Oh.
My fondest story, being at Golden Grove, there at Central Districts, is when Bots was on third base
at Playford.
and that fucking idiot, excuse me, that guy that come out of the crowd, I think he blew .35 as he jumped through, and Bots didn't even move. Bots just stood there, and you know everyone grabbed this guy before he got on the
As
ground.
I said, Bots is a whole.
That was
different-
that was a classic. You know, I haven't seen that before. You know, in any sort of sport.
Yeah, no, that's Playford. You go up there and there, it's always.
We've had a
Oh,
few.
it's,
We've had a few ones. We had the lady
You
with the
tell
dog.
yours. You tell your story.
I'll tell a Bot story. And actually, it's Bots and Jamie. Like, they kind of worked out. I might have had a little bit of a germ phobia, and it's only a little one. I'm trying to work it out. But I've gone back into the dugout, and I'm pretty sure it was at Adelaide. No, it was Kenzie's, I reckon, in the dugout. So I've gone back in, and as everybody knows in the Div 6s, I have my stuff all set up.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
I didn't say don't touch it, but I go back to the dugout, and I have my slides, my Nike slides, and my favourite North Carolina Nike slides, and I'm like, there's one missing. So I get my bag out, I get everything out, and I'm throwing it down, and I'm thinking, where the hell there's one missing. I'm thinking it's in the bag and all the rest of it. I'm looking around, all of a sudden it appears. And I'm like, all right, no worries, put my slide on the rest of it. 10 minutes later, beep beep on my phone, and my slide is sitting in Bots's butt crack, and I'm pretty sure Jamie would have taken the damn photo. I don't have those slides anymore, man. They are gone. But yeah, if I had my phone, which is up there, I would show you the photo. But yeah, that's
Steve,
a different
bring
unit.
one on, mate.
Different unit.
And then we'll close it out.
I'll close it out. Yeah. Look, I suppose there's whether it's Lenny crashing up at the Morgan shack. He crashed there.
Split his
Head, but it wasn't his head that he split. He crashed into my big T-bone, sensational T-bone, covered in red sauce, and we wrapped him up in toilet paper. Shotty doing the firewalk, Joe's Achilles, Huey going to the toilet just before the game. But I suppose I'd still go on that Div set. That morning I had Taylor's softball, and Taylor was playing. We won a grand final. So I've had to stay with Taylor until that was won, and she won that one in the under-16s with the softball she was playing as a coach. And then I had to dash up to Playford. And I think as I was putting the suit on and that, we were lining up for the national anthem in the world, and away we go. And I even being with Josh as a little league major under 13s, or Josh is under 19s, the boys that won those flags.
Yeah.
You look back at them.
It's amazing, isn't it? And that's what we're talking about, sport. Like, for three old fucks talking around with a few beers, like, the memories you take for the rest of your life. And talking about old fucks, Peter.
Peter Renfrey?
No,
Peter Renfrey.
Peter Renfrey.
This boy
Brought some beers around last week for the interview. But yeah, just wrapping it up now, guys. Hey, look, this is we knew it was going to happen, the Steve Conry extras. It was a great interview. We could probably do another hour and a half just with the man. But as I said before in the last closing, hey, we really appreciate all the support we're getting out there. Ashman, myself, we all love you.
Good time for the club. I
Yeah,
can't
great
wait
time for the club.
What comes forward from this point.
And we're looking forward to some interviews. We're thinking about some Divi 1 players. We're thinking of some old guys. But yeah, hey, once again, the ledge.
we don't.
Who's that bloke?
There we go. That's Joel Bowser.
No, it's not. It's Darren Roberts.
Darren Roberts. Oh, jeez. Sorry, DR.
See you at dinner, DR.
I didn't think you were that chubby, DR. But anyway. All right, guys. Hey, really appreciate it. Look forward to see you again. As I said, any ideas, any things, whack them on the website, and we'll see you all, guys. Take it easy.
See you.
Happy gardening.
Thanks, Steve.